Welcome back to Mullen Lave Wargaming. We're playing War in the Pacific Admirals Edition, doing a play-by-email campaign, playing as Japan in Scenario 1. We're now setting up the December 16th, 1941 turn. So in China, we're going to be attacking in Hong Kong again, and to help push us over the top, I've added a little bit of extra air support coming from Takao, and I've moved an AND squadron that's really just been in ASW training from Pescadores over to Canton, so they're going to be helping us get over the top too. So hopefully that's enough. Hopefully I don't have to resort to a shock attack and take unnecessary casualties. Moving on, we're kind of closing the noose around Chusin. It's going to take a little bit longer to get there. I've got my sights set on this unit here next to Sinyang, since these guys basically got away. I don't see any need to chase these guys over the river. So Rangoon we got to talk about a little bit. Like, 84 fighters. That's, like, holy crap, that's a lot of fighters. And since there's task forces here, it looks like they might already be potentially reinforcing. So I can't ignore Rangoon either, even with all those fighters. So I did move more Zeros into Bangkok. So we have the potential of escorting these Nels on strikes in the area. Now I would prefer not to attack Rangoon directly. If I could order these guys to not attack Rangoon, I would do that, but I can't. So unfortunately, if they attack Rangoon, maybe we're going to have to deal with those fighters and see what happens. But hopefully what's going to happen is we'll detect enemy task forces out here and launch attacks that way. So that hex there that I just highlighted is 14 hexes away, which is the range that Zeros can escort a strike. So out there, that's 8 hexes away from Rangoon. I don't think an AVGP-40 can fly that far. So that's what I'm looking for, basically. In Malaya, let's get rid of these since they're kind of in the way. With the Mersing Gambit having at least been successful for the time being, everything north of Mersing is basically mop-up. We can engage these guys at our leisure. It's maintaining this blockade at the moment that matters, and the enemy may try to hit it hard. So they have a few things here. They may start bringing as many as they can to Malacca. And then attacking further from there, and then obviously in Johore, they've got 15 units with 10,000 troops, probably mostly support units, but heck, they might even try to break their core units out of Singapore if it helps them make their last stand eventually. So to support that, a lot of the bombers that had been just kind of helping us advance up in this area are going to be bombing Johore Baru, to weaken up the enemy troops here. With Kota Baru basically repaired and now expanding, I am expanding this, right? Yes. We don't need nearly this many construction units here anymore. So we're going to start relocating some of these to Kuching to get this really moving, since it still needs to step up 2 levels to be able to support torpedo bomber operations in the Java Sea. We're going to be attacking at both Sinkawang and Sambas this turn. Due to the submarine threat, I'm tempted to detach one of these cruisers to bombard Sambas, but I'm not going to. Not unless we know that we've driven the subs away from this area. You might note that we have a submarine that slipped past Singapore. This is a mine-laying sub that's headed to Rangoon. Down here at Babel Doab, the mini KB has arrived, and it's mostly rearmed. One thing I was able to accomplish was resizing a lot of the aircraft squadrons to accommodate the full space available aboard the carriers. At the moment, we're only carrying quads for fighters here, and I think that is enough of a reason to send these guys home for a little bit. So instead of continuing to rearm here, I've got these guys ordered to head back north to Takao, which should be big enough of a base to accommodate the squadron transition to zeros. Part of this is because the enemy is clearly not pushing very hard right now, so they're kind of moving their stuff in reserve and looking for an opportunity to use it. So I have to be prepared to parry that, and I don't want to end up having to parry that with inadequate, second-rate fighters on my light carriers. So this needs to be taken care of soon. Carrier Division 2 is about to stop by for rearmament, so that'll happen pretty soon. And then Task Force 13 is loading up for Ambon, so that'll be a fairly important operation. And that's something that Carrier Division 2 can provide some cover for if they rearm in time. And I'm going to give them this heavy cover force. So they'll have a little bit of extra security going in. There's already a heavy cover force in the area. I think when the second one arrives, I'll have this one perform a bombardment and then head back and rearm. Over in the Solomons area, we're having a little bit of a logistical issue. I have not got the aviation support and construction units into this area fast enough. I prioritized Luzon and Malaya maybe a little bit too much. So we really don't have a lot of stuff that we want to be able to move into Rabaul and eventually the Solomons ready to go yet. So that's something I'm going to have to work on a little bit better as ships become available and start moving into areas like Hainan Island, Formosa, etc. But those units are starting to move. One thing that has arrived in truck so far already is an air HQ. So especially with Manila's port being broken and there being far less need for torpedo bombers, naval bombers in that area, I've gone ahead and sent one of the Betty squadrons from Takao down here to truck. So they're mostly on scout duty right now, covering a pretty large area. And I'm sure they'll be moving to Rabaul soon enough. But again, that's going to be dependent on getting proper construction units down in theater. So one last thing before I close it off. Since the Queen Elizabeth was torpedoed in this hex that I've got highlighted right now, I've asked two submarines, this one and this one, to close in on Pearl Harbor a little bit and see if we can maybe pick it off as it comes back for repairs. Alright, so I think that's all we need to really talk about today. So we'll see you for the combat replay. Thanks for watching. And we're off. Combat replay for December 16th in progress. Well, apparently this is what I get for trying to finish off the Queen Elizabeth. getting away with it so far. The Dutch strike again. And this one's too deep for us to get. I think I have one E-class ship that can get deep that's sitting at Cameron Bay. Something to consider. Great, and these guys are transporting troops too, so pretty likely that ship's going to sink. Maybe it can make Cameron Bay before it goes down. Well, it made it one damage control check. Well, made the damage control check, but once again, it appears to have detached from its task force without pulling any escorts with it, so the submarine just finishes it off. Well, maybe there were still other ships with it. Ooh, look at this. At least 2 destroyers in this squadron over here. 3 destroyers hanging out near Numia. That may be a target. Of course, I don't want to get too easy to bait around, so just something to consider. It looks like there's actually 2 task forces in that hex. Wonder who the other one is. Wonder what he was loading or unloading there. Yeah, the Dutch strike again. Yeah, seems to be a common story right now, is that they're getting their shots off and hitting our ships, and then our escorts spot them afterwards. We're going to need to get a little bit more proactive with our ASW. So there's at least 2 subs off Mindanao here. So let's see, is this an approaching convoy or just destroyers? All we detected were destroyers. Yeah, he's not getting deep enough. So I tightened the submarine patrol areas up a little bit. Maybe it's looking like that's just putting us in easy destroyer range. So I might want to back off a little bit. Looks like the cap strength is going up. Maybe pulled some reinforcements, maybe repaired some damaged aircraft. Oh, they got to the bombers. Alright, 1 P-40 shot down, and damage was really of no consequence. Thank you, thunderstorms. Ah, great. Okay, at least they didn't get to us. a little bit better, but still pretty poor damage. We're not seeing any reports of aircraft damaged. Ooh, wow, 1 base hit. Congratulations, guys. Ah, great. Flying without escorts, even though I had plenty of squadrons assigned to their altitude. Alright, that's 4 bombers down. Make that 5 with the flak. Looks like it was pretty ineffective. Getting more enemy ships sighted along that likely supply corridor. Got a pretty decent number of buffaloes protecting Singapore right now. Nope, just 3 kills. A lot of aircraft getting damaged that just turned around and landed. Cap strength of 14 isn't bad. Oh, well, that's annoying. 1 to 1. We outnumbered them 2 to 1. payback for the lost sallies. Would have been nice if these guys arrived first. Once again, same altitude as the sallies, but flying a shorter distance. Alright, got a unit to surrender up here, even though it had valid retreats. Like to see that. Nope. Another failure to actually take Hong Kong. Though it does look like we're making progress. Just 7 squads destroyed for us versus 31 squads and 7 guns for them. Lots of squad disablements, but nothing we can't recover from. And again, we're so close to getting 2-to-1 odds to be able to get an overrun here. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should just shock attack and get it over with. The casualties are going to be so much higher if I do that. Yeah, it's not like they don't have any firepower in reserve. Alright, looks like Kagayan's going to hold on for a bit. We do not have forts. Oh, we took way more casualties than them, at least nominally. Although the numbers seem to favor us more when it comes to combat squads. Not sure how the casualty calculation worked there. Three tank regiments have routed a Philippine Army division. Massive casualties. And they retreated to Clark. This is my second attempt on these Cotabaru escapees. We rout them this time. Lots more casualties. Sinkawing, this is the first attempt. And we've got them. Destroyed 1 aircraft with the base. And that should seal the fate of Sambas as well. Maybe not this turn, but to follow shortly. Speaking of Sambas. Yep. Holding for now. Although it's only them taking casualties. This might actually be one where maybe I should go ahead and shock attack. Because if they're not inflicting casualties on me, what am I going to lose if I shock attack? Alright, so that was a pretty uneventful turn this time around. Just looking at the numbers real quick, starting with air losses. Fairly bad day for us in the air, one of the few days where we've actually had more air casualties than the Allies. And a lot of that has to do with our Sally losses, right there in the top column. Not only taking a beating from the Buffaloes that were in the air at Johor Bahru, but it's taking significant flak damage. One outright shoot down, but I'm sure that very high number of operational losses is due to a lot of planes coming back home with holes in them from those flak batteries. On our side, we still managed to do pretty good as far as enemy fighter losses go. I'm always happy to see 9 enemy fighter losses in a day. So that works out pretty well. I'm a little surprised to see that we're actually being credited with 3 losses of these Dutch level bombers. It only looked like one was destroyed at base, but we're getting credit for 3, so maybe he didn't expect Sinkwing to fall so quickly. And then, of course, ship sunk. It's giving us credit for the Queen Elizabeth. Press X to doubt. But then we only managed to pick off 1 AKL. Meanwhile, 2 of our cargo ships were sunk, and we had troops aboard, so that's a bit of a problem. I'm not going to go region by region this time around. I don't think I have too much to add to what's going on in the regions, other than that, I mean, clearly I need to figure something else out for Johor Bahru. Having bombers go unescorted over there is just unacceptable, so maybe the best thing to do is, until there's an immediate threat to my ground forces, just rely on sweeps for the time being. But I'll let you know how that goes during the setup for the next turn. So I'm going to close it out there. Thanks for watching.